Welcome guys, today's October 31st, aka Halloween, and today I'm going to make my last Senate prediction, only shy of a couple days away from the election. Right now, the Democrats are in a really good spot to take back the presidency, the Senate, and keep a hold of the House. Since last month's prediction, I have made a couple of big changes here and there, and let's begin. The solid blue states, they include Oregon, Illinois, all of these little guys over here, regular ones: Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia for the Democrats. All of these are 99% plus going to go for them. While for the solid red states, they are Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee. You got it, like really red states as always. This brings up the solid red states for each party to 39 versus 43 for Democrats. Now, starting where things are getting a bit tighter. For the likely Democratic, they are Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, and Arizona. There's not too much to talk about here. The only one is Arizona, maybe, but many would have predicted that after 2016 there would be more red states like Arizona or Michigan. Maybe even Minnesota could have had a red senator or a Republican senator. But since Donald Trump is losing by 9 points against Joe Biden, it's not looking too well, and which also goes to the Senate and the House. And since the Democrats are looking like they're going to win the Senate, these Senate seats like Arizona will be even harder for the Republicans to get them back in the future. Now for the likely GOP, those are Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi. For Kentucky, Mitch McConnell is pretty much doing amazingly. His numbers did not drop off even slightly with a waste of money that Democrats poured into Amy McGrath race here. While for Alabama, I'd say it has like a 90% chance of going to the Republicans. And for Tommy Tuberville, since it's just such a red state, it's Alabama. And lastly, for Mississippi, not too much to talk about here, but if elected, I'm pretty sure he would be one of the first black senators from this state since maybe the 1800s. But it's not going to do too much here for the Democrats since the Democrats are polling here and losing by 10 points, while the Republicans are basically going to win all of these likely states for sure. Oh wait, did I misclick here? Yeah, I misclicked, sorry. Yeah, Michigan is not safe, lol. And that puts Democrats 47 to the Republicans 42. This would mean a solid and likely Senate seat to be at 47 for the Democrats versus 42 for the Republicans. And okay, here's where things start to be more competitive. Now for the lean Democratic states, those are as following: Michigan, North Carolina, and Maine. Susan Collins is really unpopular as she has been the whole election. Her numbers keep being at rock bottom, while Sarah Gideons is polling pretty much ahead of her by 5 points. And it's almost election day and she will probably lose this seat. While for North Carolina, it's going to be more tighter for sure. Currently, it's the election, so Cal Cunningham coming into the election is pulling around ahead by 2 to 5%. The numbers have changed slightly after his scandal, or I don't know, affair, scandal, whatever. But the problem is with having like a scandal like that is that since Trump is such a scandalous person, it doesn't have the same ring to it when someone from the other side, the Democrats, do a scandal, you know? Now for the lean GOP states, they are Kansas, Texas, and Alaska. Like many good Democratic candidates that have been put in 2020, Barbara Bollier is a really good candidate, but I fully expect Marshall to win, but probably at 4% margin, since it's Kansas and the GOP most of the times does really well in Kansas, so I believe it's gonna trickle down to the Senate race as well. And let me see, Texas, Senate-wise, is in a really good spot. I think it's more likely than for Joe Biden to pull off a win in here in Texas than for MJ Haggard to win a seat in Texas. It's probably not going to flip for Joe, but it is within the margin of error. So next up is Alaska. An interesting one. Al Gross is a really good candidate. Technically, he is an independent who appeals and is running more of a big tent campaign. And at the moment, Sullivan, the GOP, is polling ahead by 2 to 4% margin. And I believe, it's almost election day, so maybe there could be a surprise in one of these states. But now for a new change, let me see. It's both of Georgia's seat. Both of these are lean Democrat, and Iowa lean Democrat. Let me start with Theresa Greenfield in Iowa. She has been keeping her numbers quite well, especially after debate performance, but it mostly depends on how well Biden and Trump does in the election. If Trump, let's say, loses Iowa and Biden wins here, then there's a bigger chance of that trickling down to the Senate and the Democrats winning here. Now, in Georgia for Loeffler's seat, since the last prediction, her polling numbers have dropped and Warnock's numbers have gone up massively since last time. This is due to many reasons. First of all, Obama's endorsement and Loeffler's scandal with insider trading might just be enough for Warnock to win even without a runoff. But before I get to my other Georgia election, I do believe that chances are one of these will go to the Democrats, but I would not be surprised if both of them go to the Democrats. I do think that Warnock has a bit of a better chance to win here, but it's almost like a coin toss in this election with Jon Ossoff, who has a really bright future ahead of him. He has done really well, and this race is going to be a bit closer for the GOP than they expected. Currently, the polls are dead even, and I do think it's more likely for this race to go to the GOP than Warnock's versus Loeffler. Okay, now for the GOP tilt states, those are Montana, South Carolina, and yep, that's it, those two. These two races are doing well. For Montana, the numbers have not dropped off as much as like Georgia's election numbers, which is good for the GOP. While for South Carolina, I do think it's also a toss-up. And I don't like to put toss-ups, so I just put it on one side that I believe has just slightly better chance. And I believe that South Carolina will go for the GOP. Starting with Montana. It is slightly pulling for James. But, former governor is also doing good, since even though he might be a Democrat here, he is really popular and will give Montana a good fight for sure. While for Lindsey Graham, it's projected to be a bit of a closer battle. His numbers and cash are rock bottom at the moment, and he's just polling ahead of him, and even most polls are dead even for both of them. But even with all the effort the Democrats have put, it could be futile, since it will depend on people that are independents, like Republicans for Biden could split the ticket, for example, voting for Biden but voting for Lindsay, it all depends on those people vote. And as you can see, my final Senate prediction is that Democrats will win 53 versus 47 for the Republicans. The Democrats have fielded a really vast amount of good candidates for most of these races, if not all of them, while the Republicans have lacked. And this would give the Democrats a really good hold of the Senate for sure, which would give them an even better chance of passing legislations like making DC a state and Puerto Rico. And if they want to, they could pack the courts. And right now, Joe Biden is extremely likely to win. And it's almost November, and he's polling what? That's okay, whatever. And he's polling around 9% at the moment, just a few days shy away from the election. And it looks like the Democrats will have a clean sweep and control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And overall, everything looks amazing for Joe Biden. And if you're a Democrat, this looks amazing for you as well. Thank you guys for watching this video. This was my last Senate prediction, and see you next time.